and gentlemen, if your ends are not busy, and with a standing ovation, if it is not too much to ask, please help me welcome Dr. Kazeem Yekinni. A round of applause.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. If there is anything I want you to take from the profile, it is the fact that I am not like you. And the reason is because I know so many of us in the hall today attended this school. I didn't have the privilege to attend the school. So being a student in this school, you deserve a round of applause for yourself. That should be an added advantage. It should be an added advantage. Without wasting much of your time, let me dive into the reason why I am here today. Sometimes in 2016, that was when I got my first car. I wasn't that financially buoyant. Please, don't think I bought a very big car. The type of car I bought that time was Toyota Orobo Camry. I bought that car simply because I needed it for mobility, as at then. So on one beautiful day, I had an appointment scheduled with a client somewhere in Lekki Phase 1. Then I left my home simply because I wanted to catch up with the appointment. Then something happened along the road. I needed some snacks and water. Of course, when you are catching up with an appointment as early as possible, you may not have taken anything before you left them. So I needed to get snacks and water on the road. Then when I got to Ikota Complex, I parked my car just to be able to get those snacks. So after rounding up, I go back to the car so I could begin my journey. Then something happened. When I go back to the car, I was trying to start my car, but the car refused to answer me. I tried everything possible to ensure that I was able to power this car, but every of my effort proved to no avail. At this point, I was becoming pressured because please take note of this, when you schedule an appointment with a client, always ensure you get there some hours before the client arrives. So I am built in that way. I wanted to get to that destination, but unfortunately, because of the situation of the car, I was a little bit behind, but I was still within the schedule. So what did I do? I had to call my mechanic and briefed him about the problem. At the end of the day, I pleaded that they should come around. He was around, and expectedly, the first thing he did was to collect the car key from me. He equally tried to power up the engine. But guess what happened? He had similar experience like I did. The car did not respond. Then he moved inside the car. The first thing he did again was to match the brake. He did that successfully. After matching the brake, he held on to the car, the jar handle, and he pushed it to the front a little bit. After doing that, he was able to power the car on successfully. You know, as little as this story, it tells much about the 7 things I want to share with you today. If truly you want a life, at least in the next 1 year, that you will look back and say, God, I thank you for attending this program. So I'm going to be sharing 7 things with you. The story I just shared talks about pattern, standard, and certain way of doing something. Doctor was mentioning something the other time. He was talking about running on a treadmill without moving anywhere. If you don't have proper knowledge of the required standard or proper knowledge of something, or what I call required action, you will be taking action, but you won't necessarily make progress. I believe we all want to make progress in this, all right? If you want to make progress, let me see your hand up, and you will make that progress. Your story will become a success story to the world. So one of the things I want to share with us is paradigm. Paradigm is a Latin word, and it came to be in the mid-15th century. It is a word that was derived from 2 words. Please take note. The first is para. Young man, please. Go. Excuse me. I want to have you as a friend, at least for a few minutes. If you hear anybody saying para, what comes to your mind?
Like his person.
Speak to the mic.
Like he's angry or.
Exactly. Thank you. The moment you hear people saying para, what comes to your mind as a Nigerian is that the person tells the verse. That is actually not what it means in this context. It means side by side. Then we have benuna. Take note. Benuna means to show. So when you merge the two words together, it means to show side by side. And that is nothing but pattern. That's what paradigm is all about. If you look at the sitting arrangement in this hall, you will see that we have a pattern of sitting. Two of us. Please, I need you to respond. We have a pattern way of sitting, right? Everybody is sitting on the road, and we are facing this direction. Imagine I have 5 million kept behind this. And I ask everybody to turn their back except one person. Who do you think will get the money if I ask you to come and look for it? I'm asking you. Okay, let me come again. Let's say this is 5 million. I keep it somewhere here, and I ask everybody to turn their back except one person. Maybe this man looking at me. And I ask you guys to go and look for it. Who do you think will get the money? That is pattern. When you have clear and proper understanding of the required way of doing something, you make movement and you will make progress. But the moment you lack the required action, which is the pattern or the standard or certain model of doing certain things, you will make movement without necessarily make progress. That ends my discussion about paradigm. The next of the 7 things I'm sharing with you is principle. Now take note. Something is very peculiar to paradigm. It is about the society. It is something that is popularized and acceptable by the society. Then principle is something that has to do with an individual. He explains who you are. He tells us about the kind of person you are. So the moment you are able to perceive someone in a certain way, you are able to describe that person in a certain way, you are able to identify that person in a certain way. We are talking about nothing but principle. Please take note of these things I'm sharing because we are coming back to it. Then the next thing is tradition. Tradition has a lot to do with the culture of the land, the culture of the society. It has a lot to do with norms that is popularized and generally acceptable by the community or by the society. So we have paradigm. I need you to work with me. Number 1 is what? Number 2 is what? Number 3 is what? I want to share with you how these 3 things have shaped our life. How these 3 things have conditioned us to think. How these 3 things have conditioned us to act. And how these 3 things are impacting our results. If you ask anyone sitting next to you that what are the advices your parents give you before you left home for school, what will you tell the person? I'm listening, please. Come and be my friend, please. I want to hear you. God bless. What? Study hard and be a good boy. That is number 1. I need more people, please. And please let me give them mic. We want to hear them loud. So tell me one of the advices your parents gave to you.
Remember the son of who you are.
Thank you. Another person. I am not going to stop this until we cover the points I am expecting from you. Because the reason why we are here is not to satisfy ourselves, because it is an empowering event. So we have to touch every required so that you will remember today for good.
Learn well and pass well.
Learn what?
Learn very well and pass well.
Thank you, sir. Another person.
Get good grade in school so as to get good work.
God will help me bless you. Please, let's clap for this man. You're speaking my point. I need more people. Don't what? God will bless you. Let's put an end to that. Thanks for responding. I love you. Now, when you are leaving your house, some of the advices your parents will give to you are some of the reasons why we are conditioned the way we are today. And these advices are really impacting our thoughts, our action, and the result we derive from our action. Now look at one of them. Go to school. Right? Study hard. That's the second one. Get good grades. That's the third one. Somebody should remind me of the next one. I want to be sure we are together. Sorry? Get good job with a paycheck. Yeah, clearly you're making a point. Okay, don't follow bad friend. No wahala. You have to get married when you get to certain stage and raise your family. Two of us. Then you retire to pension. Is there anyone I've skipped? You retire to pension. Those are the advices the family will give us. I mean, a good parent will give you. So it is now left to you to pick this, process it and make the best of decision. Now let's bring our mind back to paradigm. Paradigm tells us about the required standard, about a pattern, about a model, about certain way of doing something. So it is safe to say, if you go to school, you oblige the right paradigm as embraced by the society. Anytime you see somebody who is not going to school, what comes to your mind? How do the society treat them? How does the society treat them? Àwọn ọmọ kọ́mọ lọ sí school lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Am I right? So if you go to school, it is safe to say you uphold the first standard, which is paradigm. Now let's come back to principle. I'm very sure you have some friends in school that they don't even like you to distract them at all. Before you know it, if you are talking now, before you know it, they've gone somewhere. You won't see them again. It is that they go to library or they go to somewhere just to ensure that they are not distracted. So whenever you see anybody who is dedicated, committed, and is result-oriented, he just wants to come. He wants the world to tell about him that he came out with first class, right? It is safe to say that that person is principle in this context, please. Then when you are talking about traditions, anytime you see a man who gets married, unexpectedly, of course, is working because you can't sustain a family without income. You get employed with a paycheck, regardless of whether it is good or not, because that's what the society conditions you to embrace. Then you settle down, then you retire to pension. It is safe to say that that person is upholding the expected tradition of the society. But the question is, if you are one of the people who has upheld and is still upholding these three things, to what extent has it delivered you the kind of life you desire? To what extent has this delivered you the kind of life you desire? I've seen bankers who live on loan. I mean no disrespect. I've seen servants who always call friends so they can augment the money in their pockets for finance. I've seen business people talking to friends and family simply because they don't want to become a person of the past. They want to remain in business. What does this tell you? Do we need a shift or otherwise? I need a response. Do we need a shift or not? I want to share a story of 3 young men with you. If you have been battling within your mind that, do I really not need that shit? I believe this will catch your attention. These 3 young men were given birth into a family by the same parents. The first and the last born were so brilliant. Why the second born was not? If you have people in your family, if you have a son in your family or as friend in school who is a little bit below, how do you treat them? How do you treat them? Somebody who is not intelligent. Maybe out of 30 people in class, the person came, let's say, 29th. What will be your impression about them? I'm talking now. Olodo, right? The second born suffered a lot of, a lot of things in the hands of the teacher, of his brothers, even the parents, because they were not impressed by what they are saying, and the 2 brothers, of course. So eventually, despite this ugly experience by this second born, the 3 of them graduated. Make my people go. That's for the second born. The first and the third born graduated with excellent results. Unexpectedly, they got employed. Why the second born did not get any job? As at this time, they were still living in their family house. Please take note, they were still living in their family house. So, for the second born to survive, he has to leverage on what the family made provision for. He was still living on the parents, which is not good. And he was living on his brother. Guess what happened? If somebody comes to you for a help today, you give the person. That will reinforce the person to come back again, right? That's not rational. The person will come back again. If you are godly enough or generous enough, you give the person again. What happens if the person comes the 3rd time? Let's be honest with ourselves with response. What happens when if the person comes the next time, the 3rd time? Huh? Mumbo. Rejection, right? Yeah. He got to a stage, the family, the parents who spent a lot to educate this young man begin to tell him, this is not what we are expecting. Can't you see your brothers? They started bringing something home for me. Why are we still spending on you after spending so much to educate you? This combined together got this young man upset one day, and he left the home without telling anybody. He left the home for the city, where he eventually gets connected with marketers who are affiliating with different companies. Now take note of something. When you are partnering with companies as salespeople or marketer, there is no limit to the amount you can enjoy. You can make millions of naira. You can equally make billions of naira, depending on the climate you are operating from. So when he left home, without telling anybody, of course, he became unimportant to the family because he was not bringing anything to the table. Nobody actually really asked about him. He left home for years, and he has joined, companies. He has affiliated with companies as a marketer. Eventually, he started learning the business until he became a professional. Then he began implementation. One day, God showed him mercy. He made the kind of sales he never dreamt of. And his account, became so fat that he could even feed everybody in the family. He could feed everybody in the family. And something happened. The 2 brothers that have been taking care of the parents, they were not able to take care of the parents' critical health condition, because the mother was at the end of the suffering a critical health condition that needed millions of naira to solve. They tried every possible means to ensure that they were able, to take care of the mother. And they were not interested in going to the media and be begging for money or soliciting for money. The second boy heard about this and he went back to the village without informing anybody. The first thing he did was to go straight to the hospital where he paid the bill for the health condition of the mother. And today, the rest is history. Do we see the need for us to make a shift beyond our school certificate or not? Don't get me wrong. Certificate is good. But think beyond the certificate you are holding. Somebody will say, to get food on your table today, it is beyond the quality of your certificate, but the quality of your certificate. Do we get that? To get what you desire is beyond the quality of your certificate, but certificate. I believe you get that right. So if you need a life where you can be proud of tomorrow, let me share 4 things with you, please. My time is up, but I'll have to share this with you. Please pardon me. Number 1 is the mind. Steps to a prosperous you. Please take note because we will not be here tomorrow. Number 1 is the mind. For any great thing to happen, it begins from. So from now henceforth, if at all you've not been engaging your mind in a positive way, such that you think rich and you act rich, please start engaging yourself now. Begin to ask yourself, what is it? Is this the kind of life I want to live, or I need a change? If you need a change, what I would ask you to start doing now is to be thinking about what you need to do. But let's give thanks to the Peak Performer Business Network who created this opportunity such that real estate business opportunity is already presented to you. So when it comes to mind, you are 100%, you have that solution on that. Then the second thing is revolution. Revolution in this context means action. The only time a revolution takes place is when somebody is not comfortable with certain things. Then you put in the action just to change it. Revolution comes with a force. So if you don't like the kind of life you are living right now, you need to embark on that second journey, which is revolution. Put in the action. Learn everything you need to learn. Implement and stay close to those who can influence you to become the kind of person you desire. Number 3 is transformation. Once you embark on revolution, there must be emergence of the new you. A new person must emerge from you. That person who is no longer interested in sitting with a vendor and be discussing how Dangote refinery is operating and how much they are selling the fuel. You are becoming a person who is no longer interested in sitting in the football house and be discussing how Messi won the last 10 FIFA award. You are becoming a person who is now embracing learning. You are becoming a person who is getting conscious with certain goals that by the next few months I want to make 10 million naira. You are becoming a new person who is willing to learn everything required, so you can so the new you can get accommodation in you. The last is sustaining of the new you. It begins from the mind where you started thinking, then it gets to revolution where you take action, then it gets to the emergence of the new you, which is transformation. Then how do you sustain the new person in you? These are the things I'm going to be sharing with us for the next few minutes. I've exhausted my time, but please bear with me. So the first is you have to understand who you have become and make a shift for accommodation. If you are giving 10 million and you don't have the mental capacity to sustain 10 million, the 10 million will come back to your level. The second is learn, relearn, and unlearn. If you go to the social media right now, you will see some things trending. It is because they understand that it is not enough for them to be knowledgeable about something. They need a touch of creativity to get it, a touch of update to get it, trending. The third is take massive action and be patient with yourself. Don't be that person that will be saying, no be your friend, they do this, no be your friend. Be patient with yourself. Success does not come, like a magic. It takes time. Be ready to be patient with yourself. The next is get a mentor. Journey of life is always challenging. You need somebody you are going to share something with. The essence of a mentor is to guide you, support you, and give you a direction, a sense of direction, so that when you are finding it difficult, to proceed, he can come in and say, do it like this. Just like that mechanic assisted me. With the influence of that mechanic, I could refer to him for that moment as my mentor. He was able to provide solution, provided a guidance at that moment, and I became a success by getting the car started. The last is get an accountability partner. It is not enough for you to embark on a journey. You must be able to set a target that, okay, between now and so period, this is what I want to achieve. If possible, you are not evaluating yourself about taking the required action and about your progress towards achieving that result. The moment you leverage on an accountability partner, it will call your attention back to it. That's why so many people need, accountability partner to ensure that the moment you are off, or you are down, or you are not taking actions as you should, they call your attention back to you by saying, Oga, truly, now 10 million you won't achieve. These are the actions we lay down to achieve it. You have not even moved an inch. Nobody celebrates process, but everybody celebrates success. Let that be my message for today. Thank you.
Please, can you put your hands together and give a wonderful, sumptuous, beautiful applause to my convener. Make some noise, I hear that. Love it. I see that the energy is coming back. Have we jotted things down, guys? Are you having a good time? My convener just said that you should give yourself a target. In the next 3 months, you'll have made this. In the next 4 months, you'll